Hey guys, what's up? Back in the video. Today we are going to do a review of the TNA One Night Only old school from February of 2014. So let's get this underway, shall we? First off, we kick off with Sanjay Dutt taking on Chris Sabin and Austin Aries in a triple threat match, a freeway dance, whatever you want to call it. This was pretty fun, a pretty fun opener. Austin, basically the gist of the match was that Austin Aries was out wrestling both of them. He was the superior athlete, and they decided to team up against Aries in a 2-on-1 situation, but they couldn't get on the same page. Austin Aries took advantage of that, and was able to get the win. Solid opener, made Aries look good. Big thumbs up to this one. Nothing really else to say about it. It was a very solid opener. We move on to the next matchup, which was EC3, Ethan Carter III, taking on Dewey Barnes. This was a squash match. EC3 was new with the company at the time. He had just debuted at the Bound for Glory event in October 2013. And he had like a bunch of squash matches against like Dewey Barnes and No Furnham. So because of this being TNA old school, they brought back Dewey Barnes. I forgot his name for a fucking second. Dewey Barnes. They brought him back, and EC3 basically beat him in another squash match. It wasn't anything too pretty. It just proved that EC3 was a heel. We already knew that, and it was kind of a waste of time, really. So moving on, EC3 gets the win, and we move on to the next match, which was Bully Ray taking on Tommy Dreamer in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This match is the only match out of the entire card that was actually built to go into the event. Like, all these other matches are rehashing of matches that have been done in the past. This was an actual match that was being built throughout the thing. I think Magnus and Joe maybe as also, but yeah, Bully Ray had basically attacked Tommy Dreamer's mentor, Terry Funk, at the House of Hardcore event in November. So that's what led to this match right here. Falls Count Anywhere match, Tommy Dreamer looking for some revenge on Bully Ray for what happened to his mentor, Terry Funk. These two have fought each other 5,000 times, and I think they fought each other 5,000 times since then as well, including last year. They had a feud last year, which is kind of funny to think about, like, almost 9 years after this. Like, this was considered old. Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer having a feud back in 2014 was considered old, and then they had a feud last year in 2023. So, it's pretty ironic, but these two guys know each other like the back of their hand. So it was a pretty fun hardcore match. You had the usual Bully Ray cheese grater to the bull spot, and it was just fun. They teased the table being set on fire, but Bully Ray was able to hit the low blow and pin Tommy Dreamer before Tommy could set the table on fire. So not giving the fans a little bit what they want, but hey, it is what it is. Bully Ray, great heel. He knows what he's doing. Good stuff from Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer right there. Next matchup, we have Bad Influence of Christopher Daniels and Kazarian teaming up with the one and only, the lovely Velvet Sky to take on the team of the Bromans of Robbie E. and Jesse Goddard, as well as Lady Tapper in a new school versus old school match, six-person tag match with Eric Young as the special guest referee. A very mixed up match. Bad Influence were baby faces on this night for one night only. Made sense, and it was an okay matchup. Nothing too serious about it. Just to get 6 people on the show. It made a little bit of sense to because you had the old school guys of Daniels, Kazarian, and Velvet Sky, who's been in TNA since like 2007 and since the beginning of TNA, and then you got the new guys like Robbie E, Jesse Goddard, and Lady Tapper, who had debuted within the last few years of TNA in 2012 to 2013. So it kind of made a lot of sense, and it was just silly fun. It was just nothing that it wasn't too serious, and it was just there to fill time. So pretty good stuff, but not really. Wasn't really what. I could take it or leave it. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I got my tongue twisted. Anyway, next matchup. Bad Influence and Velvet Sky pick up the win. The babyfaces win. We move on to the next match, which was The Abyss versus Jeff Hardy Monsters Ball match. On paper, this sounded like it was going to be fantastic, and then I realized it's a bit in 2014. He's starting to slow down. He's just coming off the Josie Park storyline. He's put the mask back on, and he's getting. You can see he's moving a little bit slower, and I just got a little bit sad watching this. Watching these guys try to do their greatest hits in the Monsters Ball match with the weapon shots and the tacks and the Janice and Jeff Hardy flying off something really high and going through a table. What that high thing was he fell off the turnbuckle through a table to the outside, and it was some good bumps. Jeff Hardy took a very nasty sick bump into the tacks where most of his top half of his back hit the tacks, and it also got some tacks into the back of his skull as well. So very nasty stuff right there. Jeff Hardy would pick up the win, but it was just very sad to watch, man. Watching the Biff as he's starting to get a little bit slower at this point, and crawling around in barbed wire and tacks. I don't know, man. I just felt a little bit bad for. I just felt a little bit sad. They were trying to do their greatest hits, and it just didn't work as well as they used to, which is understandable. We all get older, but anyway, Jeff Hardy picks up the win, and we move on. It was an okay match, but I don't know. I could have done without it. Anyway, next match, Ken Anderson, Mr. Anderson, takes on Kurt Angle, to rehash their feud from 2010. Good stuff right here. Good heel work for Mr. Anderson, even though he was the babyface on TV at this time in 2014. He was feuding with Samoa Joe and Bully Ray around that time. So, good stuff here for one night only. He's the heel against Kurt Angle. Good stuff from Anderson. He did a lot of heel work, did a lot of limb work, going after Kurt Angle's arm and his leg because his knee. Working on the neck of Kurt Angle as well, because Kurt's got the dodgy neck as always, and Kurt Angle, you could see he was starting to slow down as well. His body was starting to fall apart, but he still put on a good performance, not the best performance. It wasn't Kurt Angle in his prime or anything like that, but Kurt put on a good performance, and I got to praise him for that, man. Even though he was starting to break down, he was starting to have his injuries started to pile up. He still went out there and he still put on a good performance, a good match with Mr. Anderson, and Kurt Angle picks up the win. So good stuff there for Kurt Angle. And we move on to the next match, which was the last man standing match. We had Cowboy James Storm taking on his old rival and his old tag team partner Bobby Roode. It's kind of funny because on the last TNA review, these two were tag team partners. So it's kind of funny going into a little bit into the future and seeing them as bitter rivals. Really, it's kind of the story of wrestling, really. But hey, here's what it is. Anyway, last man standing match. Again, this is another match that on paper sounds like it's going to be a phenomenal match, but in execution, it was a very safe, very tame last man standing match. Not lame, tame. It was very limited. It felt like they were playing. None of them wanted to get injured. Which I understand, it's one of those, this is one of these shows that kind of felt very house showy, and, it felt like one of those shows where you don't really want to get injured because a lot of people ain't going to watch this show. No disrespect to this show, but a lot of people ain't going to watch this show, so, why put your biggest material out there? So it's kind of a lame last man standing match, or tame last man standing match, shall I say. Very safe. There was one bump that really made me go, ooh, that's a very scary bump, where James Storm took Bobby Roode's finisher and his spine hit the corner of the chair, and that looked painful. Bobby Roode handcuffed him, and then smashed him in the head with a beer bottle to put Storm down for the 10 count. I liked the finish because it played back on how Roode won the championship when he smashed the bottle over James Storm's head, so I liked the finish, but yeah, I could have done without the last man standing stipulation. I think this would have been better as just a normal, anything goes kind of stipulation without the last man standing stipulation, because I really think the last man standing stipulation really brought the match down, and it really held them back, because you knew you weren't going to see anything too brutal on a one night only event. As I said that, he smashed him over the head with a beer bottle, so what do I know? Anyway, Bobby Roode gets the win, and we move on to the main event. We have Magnus, the defending TNA World Heavyweight Champion, defending the championship against his former tag team partner, Samoa Joe. This started out pretty good. Magnus was being the typical heel. He had just turned heel and joined up with Dixie Carter and, EC3's group and all that stuff, and became Dixie's world champion, after AJ Styles had left the company. So, yeah, it was pretty cool stuff. He wanted to do the old school rules, like, no closed fists, no punching, so he took the Samoa Joe punches away from Samoa Joe. He gave him a warning. But in the end, it was a very safe Magnus versus Samoa Joe, very house showy match between Samoa Joe and Magnus. You knew Samoa Joe wasn't going to win the championship, but hey, Samoa Joe put on a very decent performance. It was around 50-60% Samoa Joe. You got a bit 50-60% great, good Samoa Joe. He didn't go all in. He was like 60-50. Put on a good performance. Him and Magnus have put on better matches on the bigger stages, but they put on a decent performance, and of course Magnus would cheat. He would use the belt to put down Samoa Joe for the count, kind of cheating, kind of being a heel, and I thought it was a good finish, because Magnus took the punch away from Samoa Joe, so Samoa Joe couldn't punch him in the face. So what better way for Magnus to win than to hit Samoa Joe behind the referee's back with the championship belt and put Joe down. Very old school. I liked it. Good stuff. It really captivated what the actual title of the title of the show was, which is old school, and pretty cool stuff. I like the finish, but the show itself, I'm coming off. I knew that this show wasn't going to be as good as the review I did yesterday, the show I watched yesterday, which is the Elimination Chamber. But I was hoping for at least something a little bit decent. Because when I read the card, when I read the card, it looked fantastic. And I was like, man, last man standing between Bobby Roode and James Storm, Abyss and Jeff Hardy, Monsters Ball, these two should have put on a good match, Anderson and Angle. But then I forgot, but their bodies are starting to break down at this point, especially Abyss and Kurt Angle. So, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10. Now, the performance-wise, there were some good performances, but there wasn't really anything to really bite your teeth into. So anyway, I'm going to give this 5 out of 10. Tell me what you think in the comments, guys. Leave me a like if you deserve it, and I'll see you guys in the future. And I'm out.